This is another episode of The People Around Me. I'm your host, Philip Hines, and I'm here with Sister Charmaine Jean-Baptiste. She's a Mrs. Fix-It. She's a, if we need to get it done, I'll get it done. She is the principal of Church of God Christian Academy, located in Far Rockaway, Queens. Sister Charmaine, how are you?
I am doing fine, Phil. That was a great introduction.
Was it?
I hope I can live up to what you just said. I am so honored to be here on this show with you.
No, it's an honor, and we're thankful that you were able to set aside the time.
Yes.
So, first off, in this gym that we're at, right, hopefully the people can see the COGCA, Church God Christian Academy, on the gym floor. This is a private school, a private Christian school.
Correct.
Which I've attended.
Yes.
As well as yourself, right?
Yes, all the way through.
All the way through. And I'm thinking back, one of the earliest memories of this school is the school's anthem.
Okay.
I think there's no better way for the people to get a glimpse of what this school was about than to hear the words of that song.
Do you want me to speak it or sing it?
Sister Charmaine, if I'm given the option.
Okay, I can sing a few bars.
Please.
It has 4 verses.
I might join you. I might harmonize.
Oh, that would be great. All right, I'm going to sing verse 1 through 4, then the chorus. This song was written by Brother Reynolds Garcia. It's set to the tune of the Battle Hymn of Republic.
There we go.
Yes. God has blessed us with a Christian school. For this we give him thanks. We remember when in public school we used to joke and prank. But now we're in a Christian school and there we are made strong. Our school is marching on. Now there's no time for joking and no time for us to waste. We must be like David, valiant, so we'll conquer all our pace. And when we show our parents, it will brighten up their face, 'cause we are marching on. We thank God for our pastor who had the burden on his heart. He saw the world's corruption and he knew the school should start. We're the Church of God Academy, from this will not depart. Thank God for Christian school. Verse 4. God gave us saints that know him. Now the base is being laid. That down the road we'll look at this, repent, and then get saved. We'll take advantage of the blood, the price we could not pay. So our school will march along. Now everyone knows this. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Our school is marching on.
Now, and that was for free. Sister Charmaine, you sing that beautifully, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And I know that you've played that on the piano for me and many of my colleagues who attended this school to sing. But powerful words.
Powerful.
I don't know if there's another school that has such a thought-provoking anthem. But it really does speak to the burden that this school took on as I want to say, almost a safe haven in a community.
Yes.
As you said, starting was it late?
1988.
1988.
Our pastor at that time, he had a vision, Pastor Milton Brown.
Brother Brown, yep.
He saw the decline in the public school and he was, I would say, concerned about the church teaching the young people, the children, biblical principles, and then send them out 8 to 10 hours a day into a world where they taught something that was completely contradictory to what was being taught at church and at home. Yep. So he wanted to create an environment where, I guess it's threefold. They were covered on all sides with God. And that's where he had this vision. And he searched for curriculums, he searched for ideas, and he came up with our Christian school in 1988.
1988.
And we started in the church basement. And I remember I would say maybe 6 or 7 years old.
I'm sorry, the church basement.
The church basement.
Which is a
couple of doors down. Yeah. And I remember the brothers digging out the basement, so we could have classrooms. And keep in mind that this school was not really created for the community at that time. It was really for the members' children.
Okay.
But once it got started and the word started getting out, the community really wanted to be a part of the school that had been created. The curriculum, everything is Bible-based. So there was nothing that would go against what the Bible taught in the curriculum. So that was one of the reasons that he started.
And so, Sister Charmaine, by the way, for you, for all of you listening, Sister Charmaine has always been my formal address to Sister Charmaine. So although I don't think...
I'm not a nun.
I know, you're not a nun. You're not, right? But that's just a part of the respect thing. It was the formality
we
here.
call the brothers, the male brothers and the female sisters.
Yeah, so now y'all are up to speed with the lingo. So I think the backdrop and something that's really interesting, as Brother Brown, Pastor Milton Brown, had envisioned, there needed to be a safe haven.
Yes.
You're talking about, this is Fall Rockaway, Queens, late 80s. I can speak of situations, unfortunate situations that I've witnessed walking home from school.
Yes.
Here on Central and Mott Avenue.
Right in front of the church.
Right in front of the church.
Cars stolen, guns being drawn. So it was a pretty bad area back in 1988.
And so there was definitely a need.
There was definitely a need.
Definitely a need. And so my parents, fast forward 1993, I'm born.
Okay.
At this point, I believe my brother might have, this is probably a bit before he started maybe.
How did your parents find out about the school? Do you know
I believe
that?
it was a friend.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, but I believe it was a friend.
Right. And I want to say that is that we didn't do a lot of advertising. It was a lot of word
of mouth.
Word of mouth. And we got to a place where the church's basement could not even hold the amount of people who wanted to send their children, the amount of students. And we had to petition for a new building. And Brother Brown, Pastor Brown, he prayed, the church prayed, fasted, because this was a big endeavor. Because we started with something small, just for us.
Humble.
But it just took flight. And so I'm not sure what year, but we acquired 2 lots that were here, and this building was erected. And we were able to accommodate more students than we've had before. I think one year we went up to almost 300 students.
Wow.
Yes.
300.
300 students. Keep in mind that the teachers here, the supervisors, they're mostly volunteer, over 80%.
Wow.
Were our mothers who came in to teach us. And our fathers sometimes came in to teach us also, but it was 80% volunteer.
Wow. That's commendable. A lot
Yes.
of,
Community support, church support, yes.
Definitely. So, and one of the things that I wanted to discuss is, there's some recognition going on as far as minorities and African Americans, and it wasn't apparent to me.
Okay.
The blessing of, depending on how you look at things, because diversity counts.
Right.
But I remember being very conscious of the fact that we grew up in a predominantly African-American minority operated institution.
Correct.
Christian institution.
Christian, yes.
And so we hear a lot of things, right? We hear a lot of things about lack of involvement in community. In this case, I would like to admit to you that we had a little bit too much involvement as far as my parents and I like to refer to you all as extended family at Church of God. But when you talk about a village raising children, that's indeed the experience.
I want to say, first of all, I don't know if we are still in the running or we still hold this title, but we have been the only Christian private school that goes from K to 12 on the Rockaway Peninsula.
Wow. With
such an affordable tuition, which I think, and as we go on in our conversation, came back to bite us. But we were the only outlet, if you were looking for options, besides the public school or maybe the Catholic schools, we were the only Christian private school that went from K to 12.
Wow.
So yes, it takes a village to raise a child. You've heard that saying. Yep. And I'm telling you, everybody was in everybody's business.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. I mean, and again, because I wanted to put a disclaimer on this, there's positive and negatives to everything. There's pros and cons. But having that family-oriented atmosphere, it really taught us to be respectful, not only to our parents, but to whoever was in charge of us. And having this community, we were able to grab resources. Definitely. There were some who knew how to could sing, some who could play instruments, some who had art, some who had the physical ability to lead gym, and we were raised as a family. So I think, when I look at my friends, I think we as a school or we as a community, we are very super connected. I mean, what other school or what other community? Like go to different weddings, you go to birth announcement.
But the connections.
We don't have to see each other for 10 years, and we get back in conversations like nothing has ever changed. Yes. So.
And so back to the structure of the school, you have on an updated.
Much updated.
An updated. You added your flair to it, version of the school uniform. And so when you talk about preparing students and children not only for the professional world, not only for their jobs, not only even for the communities to just be law-abiding citizens and respectable citizens, but also for you to be able to take what was learned here, apply it to your church. A lot of what, as my parents acknowledged, a lot of things and morals and ethics that character building that they instilled in us and my church instilled in us was kind of sustained through here. And so a large part of, I think, the magic, I don't want to say magic because we're believers here, but a large part of the idea behind this school, I want to say has to do with image.
Yes, definitely.
And if you're a boy, if you're a male child, you had tie, shirt, slacks. Wednesdays, during assembly, jacket.
Yes, blazer.
Blazer. But this goes to part of the
black shoes, nice socks.
There you go. I've received detention for not wearing a blazer to assembly.
And why didn't you, Phil?
See?
The teacher's coming out on me. I'm so sorry.
Accountability. It's all about accountability, right?
But you're talking about the uniform. I'm pro uniform 100%. I know there are some negatives, but the uniform, I believe, puts everyone on a level playing field. It reduces peer pressure. It reduces bullying. It reduces the teasing of like, oh, you're less fashionable than me, or you're wearing less expensive clothes than me.
Definitely.
And it forms a community. It forms a strong bond. Like wherever in the street, like, oh, which was good and bad because how we caught a lot of students also. But hey, he's wearing the uniform. That's from Church of God. And it was amazing how the neighbors, because we have several buildings around us, how they would be our police or our watch guard. And they would call the school. I mean, never met them, but they would call the school and say, I saw so-and-so doing what they weren't supposed to do. And you're like, wow. So that uniform really made us stand out in the community.
So we're heading into the next phase of this conversation, right? And I would like to know more about what would, not only your relationship intimately with not just the church, but the school, but how did you end up in the role of principal? A young principal, as I might add.
Okay. Oh, back in 1988.
Oh.
When I entered the school, I attended public school first. My parents transferred me.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about you. Wow.
When the school, they were members of the church, and they transferred me here when the school began. I loved the curriculum because my way of learning was self-paced, and I was able to go as fast or as slow as I could go. And so I really adhered to the discipline, the goal setting, the character building, and I went as fast as I could, and I graduated. My senior year, one of my co-graduates, she said to me, I was 16 years old. She said, you know, Charmaine, you're going to be the principal of the school. And I got very mad. I was like, I'm not staying here. I had big plans.
Bigger and better things.
And I remember I did come back as a teacher, and a slot opened up for a principal. And I was asked to be the principal, and I denied them. I told them no.
Wait, so if you could spill the tea real quick, and this was what year?
I want to say the first time I was asked, 2012, the early part of 2012. I became principal 2013 in September. But they asked multiple times, and I just said no, because what was running through my head was my friend saying, you're going to be the principal of the school. And I was like, nah.
But God would have other plans.
But listen, that's my goal that's in life, to be in God's will.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if I step outside of his will, I will not be fulfilling my purpose in life. And so even though I said no and no, I prayed about it, and I felt this was the right thing to do. And so I formally accepted, I want to say, the middle of 2013, and that's how I became the principal. And I was in a unique position because I not only attended school here, but I graduated from here, I taught here, and so I knew the ins and outs.
Or through and through.
Yes, a thoroughbred.
What was the aha moment for you? What was okay, I'm young, got into this role of principal, probably holding back on other things that you wanted to do.
Right, correct.
What was a moment, if you can think back, that was like, okay, this is worth it. I have to keep on watering the legacy.
Before I answer that question, I hope you don't mind, Phil, you said legacy, and I just want to make sure that the viewers understand that this is not something that I created.
No, yeah.
I have a saying by Isaac Newton that's very personal to me, and it says, if I have seen Father, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. And there are many giants that came before me. We already discussed Pastor Milton Brown. Our next administrator was Nestle John Baptiste, Pastor Nestle John Baptiste. Our third administrator is Theodore Michael. Our first principal, who was there in the trenches when the school was being built up, Marcia A. Notice.
Yep, since notice.
Our second principal, Maxine Moore. And then I came. So I'm not reinventing the wheel, but if I can see better, it's because I stood on their shoulders. I just want to put that forth before I say anything else.
Definitely.
You were asking about different challenges or something that I guess as principal, I saw where I could do better, a little better in certain areas. Now, I'm not too well versed in this topic, but I do know that there are different training styles. They have styles where you're not involved. They have styles where you're impassive. But the two main styles, I think, for the school is authoritative and authoritarian. I believe as a school, we started out as authoritarian. And for those of you who don't know what that word might mean, it's more, a lot of emphasis goes into obedience, quick obedience. You hear the saying like, a child should be seen and not spoken.
And not heard, seen and not heard.
Seen and not heard, thank you. Or you do this because I said to do it. Like, there was no back and forth dialogue. It was a one-way communication street. And that caused a lot of resentment. And I want to say there are pros and cons in every institution, every nonprofit, every home. That's just life. But everything that was done with the heart of love.
The intent.
So I want to put that out there. But it caused a lot of resentment because you felt you didn't have a voice to speak. And like, that's not fair. And our students went to convention, international convention, regional convention, where they competed in singing, sports, basketball, volleyball, track. They competed drawing, taking pictures, sewing, science projects, spelling, so many, over like 72 different categories. And we always had to do fundraisers to get where we need to go. We never had the money like sitting on the hand. I don't know how we existed so long, but we always had to work to get where we wanted to go. Some years we had to take Greyhound. One year, a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I had about 14 students. And I'm always so shocked Not that I'm not trustworthy, that the parents trust me with their children for a whole week. But it's very draining because you want to make sure you bring them back safely. And we were on the bus, Greyhound bus, and I'm kneeling in my seat, looking over the headrest to make sure that everyone's where they need to be. Something started happening on the bus. The bus driver pulled over, and he told everyone to get out. And one lady was getting out. She was pregnant. She had a toddler. She fell off the bus.
Oh, no.
Before I could even blink or say, like, children or students, they were off the bus. The boys picked up the woman.
Yep.
They put her in the shade. The girls grabbed the toddler. They had her. It happened so fast. I was so shocked. And a lot of times you put a lot of pressure or a lot of emphasis on, you didn't do your homework.
Yeah.
You know? But the character building that the school is the foundation.
Yeah.
Is in us. And in a split second, they were able just to do what they had to do. Yeah. That was one of my aha moments. I said, we need to put more emphasis on the positive.
Seeing that and the students just taking initiatives.
And award them, make them feel great. Like, guys, this was great because so many people came to me and said, where are you guys from? We have never seen children like this. And I get this over and over again about a lot of the students, but that was my main thing. I want that discipline to be there, but I also want the children to be appreciated for the good that they're doing also. I wanted to go back, Philip, to the authoritative and authoritarian training. So the authoritative now is more of a two-way street.
Okay.
You are more, it's still the same rules, but you are more invested in the emotions of that child, and you want to more explain to them the whys instead of just do it as I say. And I've had many conversations with the students. If they've done something that they're not supposed to do, I call them in the office and I say, how could you have done that better?
Yeah.
Before I jump down their throat. First of all, I want to know why you did it. Because we weren't really afforded that courtesy. It was like, you punched Philip in the nose? Come over here.
Well, I mean...
Not Philip. I mean, you're just here.
Anyone who punches Philip in the nose, I think, deserves discipline.
But as a child, it's more like, okay, you're not supposed to be fighting. Let's go. Yep. So now asking, why did you punch him in the nose? And then that they could say, up. Right, he tripped me. Yep. Every infraction doesn't merit a certain response. It's different. And so that was one of my things coming in because, again, remember, I was in a unique position. I went through the school.
So, Charmaine, let me, I want to stop you real quick. It's very, I'm proud to hear you say that. As someone who has received
some corporal punishment,
some punishment,
some punishments, yes,
leaning towards, paddling. I think everyone's it's different time. I think it's safe for us to speak about it. We weren't the only school doing that. Late '90s, early 2000s, and it's great to hear you speak about acknowledging that which was traditional, and there was scriptural basis that I know was the backing behind.
And I know the scriptures off the top of my head because believe me,
I heard it before I got paddlings. I heard it.
I heard it too, and I received paddlings also. Did you know that?
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
And I believe everything in your life puts you where you need to be. And so I'm the person I am because of the training I got, but I always think there's room for improvement. You're always growing until we reach the grave. Yeah. So that's where we are.
No, it's and with, as I think with anything else, times change, you adapt, and you learn how to navigate the new waters, and as you said, so definitely I wouldn't regret the experiences at this school. I think it was great. It was interesting to see with every generation something went better.
Right.
And as you said, it's tough when you're talking about literally an institution and a structure that was stemmed out of an idea that came to life. Sometimes early on, I could imagine when y'all were in the basement of the church, not everyone was trained to teach, right?
No, not at all. As I said before, we had mothers coming in,
there you go,
volunteering.
That probably had its own.
Because if your mother was your teacher, you got it in school and you got it at home. Yeah. And I think they had to be a lot more strict when we first started, because we are speaking about grown children, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old who were transferred immediately or so quickly from the public school setting into this new private Christian school. They had already been versed in that behavior. And so I was very young, but I just remember a lot of struggles, especially with the older set, because it's hard to adapt so quickly to something you've been doing for so long. So I think that line of demarcation, that bold line, had to be there. But I think, as you said, generations upon generations, if I was reared in this school, I'm going to have a different outlook on life. Definitely. And so things need to change. Things need to be adapted. Yes.
Last Friday.
Yes.
Something interesting happened. Sad, but yet I think there was an essence of mission accomplished. Do you remember what happened last week, Friday?
I sure do, Phil. I was there.
You were there. You hosted.
You were there.
I was there as well.
You were there also. We decided, this is our last year, 2020 to 2021 is our last school year as Church of God Christian Academy. And we decided to host a dinner. We went back and forth because no one wanted to put farewell on the card or the invitation. It's
too permanent.
No one wanted to put closing or end. But as of right now, we are closed as a school. And so we decided to do a dinner, a celebration of all that we have accomplished in the community, in our church, in the families for 33 years. And it wasn't, the turnout I think was great because I saw people I hadn't seen in years.
Yeah, it was like a reunion.
It was like a reunion, and if everyone had come who had come through the school, we couldn't have hosted or held it in this gym. But it was a time just to celebrate what we had accomplished. And so we had students who've been through the curriculum. They came back and donated their time, donated their food, their money, just to make this an event where we could say goodbye to Church of God Christian Academy. So I think it went very well. I had a lot of tears from the parents. At one point, I was holding back my own tears. And I said, Charmaine, stop crying. Because God, everything happens in God's time, and in His time. So if this door closes, something else is going to happen, So I'm calling this a soft closing. Don't know what's going to happen.
Whatever the next reiteration.
Keep your ears tuned to what might come out. But it was a great night, and we were able to reminisce and just have a great time.
It was an amazing moment. But so now we've heard about Church of God. What's next for Sister Charmaine Jean-Baptiste?
Well, I know this is going live, so I just want to say that the first thing I wanted to do was be a truck driver when I was younger, and I don't want to laugh. But when I was
Not what I was expecting.
I wanted to be there are two things I wanted to be. I wanted to be a truck driver, and I wanted to be a librarian, because I felt like truck drivers got to drive just to different places. I love to travel. But I'm not gonna do that. But I'm not too sure yet. I have so many goals and passions and visions. I don't know if I've shared it with you before, but I love singing. I love creating groups. I like harmony.
One of the best to ever do it.
Especially a cappella singing. I just love it. And I've always had a vision that Far Rockaway needs a choir that can represent us on community level, national level, world level. So that something I might get into. I love teaching. I love working with the students. Being a principal was a little hard to transition because I wasn't in the classroom, and I felt I lost touch, or I lost some type of relationship because I wasn't there 24/7. I had to deal with paperwork, deadlines, parents. But I would like to get back into a classroom. Love math. That's like the best subject. That's God's favorite subject. Just want everyone to know. All the other subjects come out of math. And so that's something that I would like to teach.
Well then.
Again, I have so many dreams, but I've taken time off to reflect. It doesn't seem that way, but I've been working over 20 years, and I want to make sure that my next move is where we need to be.
Where
I need to be.
Where you need to be. Nice.
Yes.
So And I think a lot's been said, I think, from idea to tangible product.
Yes.
And so in a community that itself is turning the page of a new chapter,
Yes.
what is a word of encouragement or a few nuggets that you've gotten over the years? And once again, as you said, and I want to be as not just respectful, but as it's necessary to point out the individuals, every single person that had
Every
something to
single
do with
person,
this
yes.
school. Out of everything that you've seen, what are some nuggets or some gems that you can give to someone else who's noticing an issue in the community or an issue for their own family or for their own block, as to how can they motivate and bring about change in their own little way? And there's naysayers, there's people saying it can't
Yeah.
be done.
I think one of the main things, you have to have a squad. You have to have a group of people
Yeah.
that are on the same page, that have the same vision. You can't do it by yourself. I know it says one man can make a difference, which is true. But if you want to bring about a big change, you're going to need people who understand what's going on, who are unified, who are willing to get the job done, who are willing to stay up nights, who are willing to sacrifice everything to get something started, because the start is the most important thing or the hardest part. And I think with your group, you can't just have one voice. There has to be different types of people in that group. You have people who are very good at putting plans on paper. You have people who are very good at implementing the plans. You have people who are very good on the creative side, making the plan look pretty. And then you just have those people who work in the background. They work. You never see them, but they turn that wheel. And I believe that's one thing. You need a unified body of people. Second, well, maybe this should have been first, but you have to make sure you're in the will of God. God has to be able, I feel that a lot of things will be done and can be done better if we adhere to what God is telling us and stay in that plan.
Keep our personal pride and everything to the side.
And remember, third thing, it's going to get hard. It's going to get difficult. But remember your original vision. Remember what you want to accomplish. And some days you're going to go home crying. Some days you're going to go home happy. But remember what it is you want to accomplish and keep on the road. Even if you don't see any progress, keep on that road. I think those are some of the gems that I can.
Persistence.
And then have fun. I'm all about fun. Like, is this something I could say? You put the fun in fundamental. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh,
but
this is Charmaine.
But you can't just be like Joel. You have to have fun. You have to be excited. That's the word I should use. Excited about what you want to accomplish.
It becomes contagious.
Because it becomes contagious. And I want to say that we're not, as a school, we're no longer in existence, but our building is being used for so many things for the community. I can't even speak to most of it. But every Friday night, this gym is open for every young man in the community to come play basketball. Not even in our community. Some people are traveling from Long Island to get here. When you're here in this gym, there's no gang colors, no, they try to keep profanity to a minimum, no fighting. It's a safe space. One time I walked through this gym on a Friday night, and there were over 60 people here. And I said, this gym is not even like regulation size. They were lined up on the wall somewhere outside.
Yeah.
And they're so excited when the gym is open because we closed for, what did we close for? The winter? I'm not sure. We closed for a couple of months. And then the pandemic that happened, we were closed for a while. But not only that, this gym is also used for community events. So the school is being used for community events. The students are also being used for community events. We sing sometimes, we go out to nursing homes. So that aspect of Church of God Christian Academy or Church of God is not going to...
And I would like to also shout out, I think, another necessary name now that we brought up, Sister Deneen Ferguson.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. And I know as someone who's been in the gym and have
in
come out in years past.
Yes.
This gym as well is a, I think, smaller microcosm. Is that the right word? Of what I think Church of God was over the years, as long as your 14, 15, 16-year-old son is here, they're not somewhere that might be dangerous, that might
Right.
be something that well, I guess encourages bad behavior, or
Correct.
as you said, between our walks in home, especially as young, I can only speak as a young boy or a young man at this point.
I was about to correct you.
But I'm thinking back, to
yes,
as a
yes.
young child, the times that we spent here was the times that we didn't spend
On the streets,
on the streets.
get into trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we have made a mark.
yeah, definitely.
Definitely have made a mark, and the school has closed, but the legacy is going to continue.
It's going to continue.
Because it's not just a building.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Church of God Christian Academy. You're Church of God Christian Academy, because the little things that you caught,
Yeah,
the character building, you're gonna take those, the positives with you. Me personally, it has taught me patience. It has taught me to go after what I want, to be to strive to be the best, strive for excellency.
yep.
So many character, to
Building,
be kind, to be gentle. So many things that school has taught us.
As we close, thank you for all that you do, all that you continue to do. As far as me looking up towards someone of, you're older than me.
Okay,
You're older
let's
than
put
me,
it that way.
right?
Yes, yes.
As far as someone multi-talented, you can hop on an instrument, you can write a script, you can lead when you need to lead. Especially for, I think that you are admirable. I look at some of the qualities that you have, and I like to take some of them on for myself and be a better individual. So thank you for all that you do.
And I started out rough. I wasn't born this way. I started out rough. But as I said before, it's human nature, and it's natural to want to improve yourself and just to be better every day, every year, better. So if you ask my first set of students, they'll probably have another story than my last set of students.
Yeah.
But we grow, we learn.
Okay.
And I also want to say that Church of God Christian Academy is an extension of Church of God.
The church. Yeah.
And I want to welcome you, if you're in our area, to come and visit us, because we're not closed down. Church of God still stands, 1318 Central Avenue. We are having services on Sunday at 9 a.m. Sunday school. There's a class for everyone. And then we have morning service at 10:30. And then we have midweek service on Wednesdays at 7:30. So you are welcome to come on out and enjoy service with us.
The people around me is something that I started to highlight and to encourage all of you listening to look into your own circles and to have conversations with the people around you as well. And not just to have empty conversations, but to genuinely seek wisdom, seek the pros, the cons, how did you overcome the resilience that can be found in so many of the stories and the individuals around us. So thank you for joining us on this journey and joining my conversation with one of the people around me. Now you all go and have some conversation with the people around you. All right? Until next time.